Oh, do you want to show him? Can you see his face?
Romeo, hi baby. Go to sleep.
Hi cheeky boy. Happy?
Ready? Go to sleep.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would know that I've recently just gotten home from the Maldives. It was our first overseas family trip. We've done some like car traveling trips and we've also done some domestic trips with Romeo. So he's been on a plane as well quite a few times now. I've been receiving a lot of DMs and comments and questions about how we do it and any tips and tricks and just a lot of overall questions about what it's like traveling with a baby, because I think a lot of people think that once you have a baby your life kind of stops and you can't do the things you usually would do, and I really don't believe in that. Having Romeo wasn't going to stop me from continuing to do what I wanted, and if anything it's more fun to have him along the journey with us. So I really wanted to sit down and make this video just answering any questions you guys had in regards to traveling, any tips that I had and what I've learned. I did ask you guys on Instagram if you had any questions regarding it, and I also was gonna share some tips as well, but I might just read the questions and then if I have like any tips from that question I'll just like talk about it in the moment sort of thing. Okay, so we're just gonna put Romeo to bed so now I can focus on the questions, otherwise I get distracted with him. I got a lot of questions. I'm gonna try my best to answer as many as I can, but I also don't want this video to go forever. So I got a lot of questions asking if we had anyone come along with us, if we had like a nanny or like a babysitting service or just a family member that came with us. So we didn't have anybody come along. It was just the three of us. I know a lot of resorts offer babysitting services and a lot of resorts as well have like a kids club. I'm pretty sure majority of the kids clubs though it starts around 3 or 4 years old, so they don't offer like for like really young infants. Did you get bored because you couldn't do some things you usually would do when you're on holiday? So, oh my god, the cat's in here scared me. I didn't get bored at all. It kind of depends, I don't know, like I feel like at the age he's at now, it's a really good age to travel and to do things because he can't really do much besides sleep and eat. We still did everything we would have normally done, and yeah, I got a lot of questions asking like what did we do when we went out for dinners and like private dinners and stuff like that, and we went swimming and all that other stuff, like who was looking after the baby. So when we went out for dinner and when we were on our beach dinner, I'll like show you some footage or whatever. Sorry if you can hear him, Andre's just putting him to sleep so I can film this. So when we would go out for dinner and do things like that, he would just be with us in the pram asleep, or he would be just sitting there in the pram awake. When we'd go like swimming together and we would do things together, it would be like during his nap times, I guess, or sometimes we'd just take him in the pool with us. A lot of people, yeah, were really confused on how we'd like go and do things. We just bring him along with us. Like, I don't know, we just live our life the same as we'd be living at home. Like, how do you go to the shops and how do you run errands at home? You just bring him with you. He just did everything with us, and we still did a lot of things that we would have normally done on holiday. So we went on for example, a dolphin excursion, like snorkeling trip, and they took us out on a boat and we got to go snorkeling and do all those other things. So like I guess normally Andre and I would go snorkeling at the same time, but because we had him with us, we just took it in turns. One would look after the baby, one would go snorkeling, and he did really well. He just slept on the boat and just chilled out. And yeah, we still did everything we wanted to do. Like I guess maybe it was a little bit different, but it didn't ruin our trip. We also managed to get in a massage. We did a couples massage. That was the one time someone watched him. So the kids club offered to look after him for an hour, so Andre and I could get a couples massage, and that was the only time someone looked after him the whole entire trip. So we were there for 9 days and someone only had him for an hour out of the whole 9 days. The rest of the time he was with us. I think he was still a bit young to leave him for any longer than that. I probably wouldn't have left him any longer than I didn't leave him any longer than the hour, just because I still think he's a little bit little, and I had like anxiety the whole time he wasn't with us. But yeah. How much does it cost for a baby's plane ticket? So I'm pretty sure under the age of 2 years old, babies fly free because they don't actually require a seat. So they can just sit on your lap. So if you are traveling with an infant or a newborn, you're a bit worried about how like you're gonna fit him on the plane, you're gonna have to hold him the whole time. They do carry, I'm pretty sure all planes have a bassinet. The seats at the very front of the plane, like the first rows after like the bathrooms and stuff, where they have the like lots of leg room, they can hang bassinets on the wall. You've probably seen them if you've like traveled a lot, and I don't know if a lot of people know about them, but the youngest babies get like priority, so you can request them when you're traveling. Did you have to get any certain needles for him to travel overseas? I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I think it depends where you're going. The Maldives was a really safe place for us to travel to. The island that we went to was extremely safe. They fog the island on the daily, which gets rid of any like mosquitoes and like bugs, so there was no like chance of him getting bitten or anything like that. The only thing we had to worry about was making sure he didn't get burnt, because it was extremely hot. But that was our biggest worry, was just making sure he had sunscreen and he was protected and wasn't in the sun for too long. He was due for his 4-month-old needles, which he actually just got today. We decided to wait until we got home just in case he got a little bit like ill or felt a bit icky. I know sometimes when babies get their needles, they can feel a bit off for a couple of days, so we didn't want to risk it. We just wanted to just wait until we got home. Yeah, he was fine. I had a lot of questions. Like, most of the questions were, how did you get through the flight? How did you entertain him during the flight? How did you not ruin his like sleep schedule with the flights? Just everything about like being on a plane. I think that's what people are most afraid of, is the actual flight. I was so worried about catching a flight before like our first trip, because I was just scared he was gonna scream and like everyone was just gonna look at me and like look at me like I'm a bad mother. I didn't know what to do, and I was so worried about it. And I think it's like all more so in your head, because it sounds so much scarier than it actually is. And he's so far, touch wood, been an amazing flyer. He doesn't cry. He cries more sitting in the back of the car, us driving like half an hour to the shops, than he does on the plane. He didn't cry any more on the plane than he would have at home normally. Like, mind you, he is a really chill baby. I also want to preface, like, I want to say that this is just my experience. This is how I've found traveling, and all these tips and things that I'm going to suggest is what worked for us. All babies are different. Things work for different people, so just keep that in mind while listening to my side of things. But Romeo is a very chilled out baby. I think it really helps with traveling. One thing I was probably most afraid of with the plane was like his ears popping and stuff. I don't know if like planes have changed how quickly they like ascend and descend, because even my ears weren't popping at all, and he didn't cry once at all. I was really surprised by it. I don't know, like he just seemed fine. Like he had no issues. I always made sure I had a bottle on hand. And also I just made sure in our little carry-on luggage that we had like everything we needed. Like we had nappies, we had formula, we had an iPad for him with like little shows on it in case he got really bored. We had dummies, we had everything we needed, so if he did get upset, we were prepared. Also, my best advice for flying is to book flights with your like baby's kind of sleep times. At the end of the day, like traveling is always going to ruin your schedule, or like you can't be so strict on a schedule and expect to take a baby flying, because it's unrealistic. So just do the best you can. And so Romeo sleeps really well during the night. Once it gets to 7 p.m, that's his bedtime. And even if he wakes up during the night, he'll fall back to sleep really easily because he's very tired. So we booked all of our flights through the night, which is like, I guess, rough for us because we don't get much sleep, but he gets a full night's sleep. So when we do arrive at our destination, he's in a good mood and he's not too disrupted, if that makes sense. All of our flights, he pretty much slept majority. I think to the Maldives, it was 5 hours to Singapore from Perth, and then from Singapore it was another 5 hours to Malé, and for both of those, I think he was awake for like an hour. For that hour, he'd just kind of sit there. If he got a little bit bored, I would just pull out the iPad and put a show for him. He'd watch it, no problems. The only time he would cry Romeo isn't the type of baby to like cry really for no reason. The only time he would like cry is when he's hungry. Oh my god, when he's hungry, it's like the end of the world. So that is also an easy fix. So once he would cry, we'd just feed him and he'd be fine. When I was in business, I would just let him sleep on my chest because I'd lay my bed flat down. And I would lay him on my chest and we would just like sleep the whole, like both of us. They do offer bassinets in business as well if you request them, but like it was just easier to leave him on me. Then when we were in economy, I just would push my chair back as much as I could and like lay down with him on my chest again. Otherwise we just put him in the bassinet to sleep, or Andre and I would like take in turns like holding him. And he slept like in all of those spots. He was fine. Did you check in a car seat / stroller? So when we went to Sydney, we brought our big pram, and honestly that was probably the worst thing ever. It was so difficult to try and wrap it up and keep it protected, and getting around was like a nightmare because we'd have to call taxis because Uber doesn't have car seats, so we'd have to call taxis with car seats in them, and it was just like so expensive and so difficult. The Maldives was really easy because they don't have any cars. So once we're on the island, and we bought a new travel pram, which was the best thing we ever invested in. I'll leave a photo on the screen. So it is called the Silver. So I think our one weighed about 6 kilos. So they're very light and they're very compact. And you can bring them on, put them in your cabin luggage, so you don't actually have to check them in. So we just checked in 2 big normal suitcases, and then we had a little carry-on bag, and we had the little carry-on pram as well, instead of 2 carry-on like suitcases, if that makes sense. We still had plenty of room, and it was literally a life changer. So whenever we travel, I'm always going to bring that with us. Like you can literally take it off the plane, set it up and like roll him off the plane. That's how little and compact they are, and they're just really, really easy. And we just used that when we were on the island to transport him around. I think if I travel where we need a car for somewhere, I would bring my own just so we can catch Ubers and stuff. But when you travel, you can check in on top of your luggage 1 item for free for your baby, whether it's a travel cot, a car seat, a pram. So what I would recommend is 90% of hotels, I'm pretty sure, have cots with them. So if you're traveling, you can request for the hotel to set up a cot. Every hotel we've ever been to has been able to set up a cot for us. So don't bring a travel cot. I feel like it's a bit of a waste of time. Don't check in a pram, get a travel pram. So then that saves you having to check in a pram and wasting all that space. Check in a car seat. I feel like if you're going to check in anything, do a car seat, take a little travel pram on your carry-on, so then you can kind of sneak around it and get like 2 items, if that makes sense. That's what I will do next time. If we went to like over East again, I would bring the car seat. I feel like that's what you would need the most. What was the hardest thing about traveling with a bub? So the hardest thing was probably just calculating the amount of items we would need, especially because he's formula fed. If you're breastfeeding, honestly, it'd be so much easier, save a lot of room in your luggage. So if you're still breastfeeding, you want to travel, do it. It would be so much easier for you. But we basically would just, just trying to calculate how much we needed for the amount of time we were going for was probably just the hardest thing. It was just, yeah, it was so much easier than people make it out to be. I think people love to scare others, especially when it comes to babies. Like the minute I got pregnant, I feel like I've been hearing it, like your body's going to be ruined and labor's this and your baby's changed your life. And it's all just like, like to an extent, yes, but honestly, people make it sound so much scarier than it actually is. And it really wasn't as hard as I anticipated. And now that we've done it a few times and I know what he's like on the plane, yeah, I'm already booking like my next holiday this week. Because yeah, why not? He's small now. He's not crawling. He's not, you know, it's so much easier while he's like little. And yeah. How many nappies / formula, etc. to pack? My son is 3 months old. We have some vacations coming up. Okay, so we calculated how many nappies he would use in a day. So I think we I don't know if he'd used this many, but I think we calculated 6, and then we were going for 9 days, so we just did times 10. So we counted 10 with the extra traveling days, and then so 6 times 10, it was 60 nappies. And then I think we kept all those nappies in the big suitcases, and then we added on, I think, an extra 10. We put them in his carry-on just for in case. You know, you always want to pack more than less, just in case, especially. It depends where you're going. When we went to Sydney, we didn't pack any nappies at all. We took, I think, about maybe 10 or 12 in the carry-on, the same, just to get us over there and for when we're like first day in the hotel. But then when we were there, Andre just went and purchased some from the shop. And yeah, but because we were in the Maldives, you can't just run out to the shops. They don't have anything like that. So we had to pack what he needed. So it just really depends where you're going. If you're going somewhere that will provide nappies, I would say just bring what you need for the flight and then go and get them when you get there, because it will save you a whole lot of room. But if you are going somewhere and you do need the nappies, then, you know, just pack a little bit extra than you need. Just be smart about it. You don't want to like overdo it either and just take up all this room with all these nappies. We didn't end up using all the nappies, but they were there in case we needed them. For formula, we did the same thing. We just calculated how many bottles he would have in a day. And yeah, Andre, like, I think he went and scooped all the formula out to see how I don't know how he calculated it, but basically we worked out for 9 days he needed 2 tins. He did finish the 2 tins. We were on our last bottle. On the way home, I had to try and go to a convenience store and find like a little formula tin just in case we ran out. I was so worried about it. Luckily we didn't need to use it. I didn't want to upset his tummy or anything like that, but we did use 2 tins. We were there for like 9 days. I think next time I'd bring maybe 2 tins and like a half, try and like put some in like some plastic bags or whatnot. If we were going somewhere where you could buy the formula, we wouldn't pack it. I'd maybe bring some of those little travel containers. We would always have like travel containers like that in our carry-on, and then buy it when we get to the destination. But yeah, we brought two tins and we brought 6 bottles. So the amount of bottles he'd go through like in a day. And then we just would clean them and do them the next day. Like, I didn't want to bring any more than that. A lot of people were asking how I'd sterilize them. I guess at home we like wash them and we have a steamer and everything. I'm not going to bring a steamer. It's too big, it's too bulky. So we would just use the kettle and just clean them the best we could. And in regards to using water and stuff like that, we would just use the boiled kettled water. And also sometimes we'd use bottled water. I don't know if people are going to arc up about that. He was fine. We'd never used like tap water unless it was boiled. Flying on a plane, how you bring bottled water and stuff like that. If you look it up, I will have to Google it, but because I didn't personally do this, we just used bottled water when we were traveling. But you can bring a certain amount of water, obviously more than 50 mils on a plane, when you have like a baby and you need like formula for your baby. If you Google it, it will come up straight away and it tells you how much you're allowed to bring on flights, because I know some people are really worried about that. And also when you get on the plane, like majority of the time the staff like come up to you and they're like, let me know if you need like boiled water for your bottles or anything else. They normally supply a lot of stuff. They're really helpful. So you're always in like good hands. Like most of the airport like staff are pretty understanding, especially if you have a young one. You know, you can't just not have water for bottles, etc. Were you worried about him getting sick on the plane when he's so young and his immunity is so low? I think the first time we took him on a plane, I was so like anal about it, and we were just wiping everything down and just being as like so like taking all the precautions and making sure that he didn't touch anything. I'm not like too overly protective. Like, he's got to build his immune system anyway. He's got his needles and everything like that. I like to think of like a glass half full instead of half empty. I don't like thinking of the like worst outcome or the negative situations. Like, I don't see something and be like, oh my god, but what if he gets sick, and what if it rains, and what if this happens, and what if this happens? I don't like to think like that. And yeah, I think if you think like that too often, you will kind of manifest those things. So I just keep it really positive, and he's been fine so far. I have a lot of questions like in regards to how we keep him in routine when we travel, and how we keep him, you know, on his like schedule and this and that. We don't. Like, we're on holiday, we're on vacation. who has a routine when you're on vacation anyway? Like, who stays in a routine on holiday? Like, if we're not in a routine, why would he be in a routine? We just followed his cues. That's kind of what we do at home as well. I'm not very strict. He's kind of just put himself in his own like routine. It's not like on the dot, 9 o'clock, bedtime, this, wake, feed, play. He will kind of just fall asleep around the same time. You know, like for his bedtime around 7 o'clock. Sometimes it'll be 7:30, sometimes it'll be 8 o'clock, sometimes it'll be 6:30. Like, it's not always like 7 o'clock on the dot. It's just always around the same time, and then he'll sleep, and he's working for him. And like the same when we were away, we just kind of follow his cues. When he was hungry, we would feed him. When he was tired, we'd like put him to sleep. And yeah, he did really well adjusting. I think the Maldives was 3 hours behind Perth, so he adjusted really well. I don't know if it's because we kept him like awake because we were like traveling, and then when we got there we all went to sleep and it kind of worked out like that. I don't know, but he would somehow always just put himself back into a routine. Baby is really smart. Yeah, I don't know. I got a lot of questions about what do I pack? What are my traveling essentials? What are things that I would not leave home without? Or if I feel like if I went traveling again, what I would bring. And I feel like we were actually really prepared for this trip, and there is nothing that I would have brought along extra with us on our previous trip because we were so prepared and we had everything we needed. My traveling essential is the travel pram. That thing was amazing. His baby monitor as well. I'm really glad we brought that along with us. Oh, we brought a bouncer. We had to buy a new one because the usual one we use is the Baby Beyond one, but it's too big to fit in a luggage. So we bought like a cheaper one. I think it was about like $60. And it could fit in our luggage, and it was just good and handy. So if we were in the pool, we could put him under the shade. He could just sit in his bouncer and play with a toy, and that really came in handy, especially because he can't sit up right yet. Like, we didn't want to just leave him like laying down on the bed just by himself, so because he couldn't see anything and he would get bored. So we had lots of toys. The iPad, I made sure I downloaded some like things on the iPad before we left, so if he'd get really fidgety and bored, even when we were in the Maldives, sometimes he'd just get really bored and we would be doing something, I would just bring out the iPad, play Baby Shark or something like that. If you want me to do like a separate video of what we actually packed, I can do that. Just leave a comment down below and I can do like a sit down video and show you guys like what I would pack for a baby for like a summer vacation or something like that. It's just like what you'd use. Don't bring things being like, oh, but what if like maybe he needs this? Like, see what he uses at home, think about it realistically, and then just bring what you need. Do you feel aware or care if people are judging you when Romeo is unsettled? I think this is what like most parents worry about, and that's why they don't travel, because they're scared of being judged or people looking at them when their baby cries or whatnot. And I think that's just something that you have to just get over and just accept. Some people are really judgy and just rude, and you can't let what others think, you know, stop you from living your life. And babies cry, like sometimes they cry. That it is what it is, and majority of people know that. I think one of our first flights, I think we're coming home from Sydney, we were in a 3-seater and a man was seated next to us, and there was a spare seat next to 2 men in the other row, and he ended up moving to the other row in this middle seat so we could have the 3 seats to ourselves, because he was like, you guys have a baby, like, you know, I'm gonna move so you can have your spare seat and lay down and take after him. And it was so sweet. And he was like talking to Andre, saying like, don't worry if he cries, don't stress, you know, I've got kids of my own, I know what it's like. Majority of people are understanding. You know, it's so scary when you walk onto a plane with a baby and everyone looks at you and they're like, oh, I hope that baby doesn't cry. But like, as long as you're doing the best you can, you know, just block it out. Don't miss out on things you want to do and living your life because you're worried about what people are going to think. If it's like 5-hour flight, it's 5 hours of your life and then it's done, and then you get to enjoy a really happy, amazing holiday. The Maldives, I've never seen Romeo happier in my life. He was laughing every day, he was smiling, he was calm. Your babies are a reflection of you, and I believe in that full-heartedly. If the parents are calm and parents are happy and the parents are settled, the babies are going to follow and do the same. I really believe in that. And so we were happy, we were calm, we were in a good mood, we were in the sun, it was beautiful. So Romeo was in the best mood. I've seen a lot of babies on planes and most times they pretty much just sleep and they're fine. I think it's just more in your head. Like, you get told sometimes horror stories. It's the same with like giving birth and all these other things. Like, you only hear the bad stuff. Like, you don't hear about people talking about babies just not crying on a plane. Like, and I've sat next to a lot of babies on planes and on flights, and a lot of them just sit there and sleep the whole trip. So, you know, you could be one of those people where your baby just sleeps. So don't miss out on it because you're scared of the unknown. Just try it. Try a short flight first, see how they go. Actually, this is a good question about mosquitoes. So I was very worried about it. The island actually that we were on, they fogged the island every morning. I think at 5 a.m. they fogged the whole island and it got rid of any mosquitoes. So there was no mosquitoes on the entire island. And so yeah, there was no risk of him getting bitten. So I know a lot of places do that. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure some places, like I guess in Bali and like other islands, would do that too. I would suggest maybe looking into it before going. I think it's like everything to travel with a baby. It's just a lot of research, you know, like just contact the hotel, check if they have a cot for the baby. A lot of hotels offer like a lot of facilities for children because it's really common for people to travel with kids. It's a lot more common than people think. Like when we arrived at the Ayada in the Maldives, they had his cot set up and they had supplied us with like baby wash, baby shampoo, baby lotion, a little romper for him. They'd like given us all this stuff and they were like, if you need anything for him, if you need any like food for him, baby food, nappies, wipes, they were offering to go out and get it for us, which is like incredible. So yeah, I would just contact the hotels or do some research. If you are like on booking.com or TripAdvisor, like most of the time it will be like when it's listing the amenities, it'll say can supply a cot. Or a lot of resorts as well have nanny services or have children like daycares where you can put your kids in during the day if you want to go out for dinner, or you can have a nanny. I'm going to go anywhere moving forward. I'm probably going to ask the island or the hotel if they fog their resort. I'm pretty sure when I was in Bali and a couple of resorts I've stayed in, they've fogged their resort as well, and it keeps like mosquitoes away and stuff like that, which is great for us but even better for them. Because yeah, the last thing I want was him to get bitten by a mosquito. People are asking the like kind of same things but in just different wording. So hopefully this video answered a few of your like questions and was a little bit helpful. Like I said, if you want me to do a like sit down packing video where I show you what I actually like brought with us, I can do that because a lot of the questions were about what I brought and what I would recommend and any tips and tricks. I just really think and believe that you shouldn't let a baby stop you from doing what you love and enjoying your life. A baby isn't a roadblock. A baby isn't like a hassle. Like, it's a blessing, it's a gift. If anything, it made our trip more valuable and more memorable because it was so special to capture those memories with him, and it's something we'll be able to look back on for the rest of our lives. And yeah, like, you know, the hardest part about it is probably just getting there, and once you're there, you're there, and that wasn't even as difficult. And yeah, it's just really just being organized and planning out your trip so you don't forget anything and so you have everything you need. It's literally parenting in a different place. But yeah, I really enjoyed like my time traveling with him, and I will 100% do it again, and we are going to go on more trips. Nothing has stopped me from wanting to do it more and more. If you guys are wanting to travel and you have little babies and something was stopping you, I hope that this can kind of settle you and give you some like, you know, put your mind at ease, and you maybe book a flight somewhere. If you are nervous, go somewhere close and see how it goes, and then, you know, you can book longer and longer trips. And yeah, I don't know, hopefully this answered your questions. If you did have like another question I didn't answer, just leave a comment below and I'll be in the comments answering back your questions, because I got so many DMs about this and I really want to help you guys out. Thank you for watching my video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. And yeah, love you guys, and I'm currently editing the Maldives vlog, so you'll see like a lot of our experience and everything in that vlog as well, and what we got up to and how we traveled with him. So that will probably be my next video up. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to edit, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, love you guys so much. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.